Okay, welcome back. Hope you're all having a great week. Today we're continuing our RBT exam practice question series. We're going through the next set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. If you're looking for our proven study materials, please check out btexamreview.com. We offer 3 practice exams, a task list study guide, and of course our famous combo pack. We have a YouTube membership as well. If you'd like to support us further, questions, comments, let us know. Work hard, study hard. Let's get to our questions. Question 1. After running the Boston Marathon, several runners ran straight for the table of water bottles. The Boston Marathon serves as a blank in relation to the water. Very straightforward question. Going to be an MO, an SD, a prompt, or a consequence. So one part of our contingency here. And if you know the basics between MOs and SDs, this becomes a very straightforward question. So what we know is runners ran the Boston Marathon and then ran straight for the table of water bottles. So running that marathon made these runners really want some water. So as far as the Boston Marathon concerns, in relation to running straight to the table of water, is that going to be an MO, an SD, a prompt, or a consequence? Well, we know MOs do what? MOs increase or decrease the value of a consequence. They make you want something, they make you not want something. In this case, running a full marathon is going to do what in relation to water? Well, it's going to increase the value of the water because of deprivation. It's going to make you want it. The Boston Marathon is going to be a motivating operation as it relates to the water. Why isn't it an SD? Well, discriminative stimuli, an SD, signals the water is available. The Boston Marathon doesn't signal the water is available because they've been running all day. Only when they see the table of water in all the water bottles is the water available. So if we would have said the table of water bottles in relation to the water, that would have been the SD. Very important you understand the difference between MOs and SDs. MOs can make you want and not want. SDs signal it's available. Obviously not a prompt because prompts follow MOs and SD, and it's not going to be a consequence. Getting the water and drinking the water and feeling refreshed and hydrated, that is going to be the consequence. The Boston Marathon serves as the MO for the water. The table of water serves as the SD for the water. And then drinking that water, being refreshed, is the consequence. So our answer here is A, motivating operation. This time of year, around the holidays, families often want to show their support and thankfulness by giving RBTs gifts. What is the rule about taking gifts as an RBT? Remember, this rule has been changed recently to give us more flexibility as BCBAs and technicians. And in my opinion, it's a good change, right? What they did was allowed a little more leeway. So the old rule was we couldn't take gifts whatsoever. But then you get to holidays, you get to Thanksgiving, you get to Christmas, you get to Hanukkah, and you get all these families who want to just show their support and thankfulness by giving small little gestures of food or maybe little gift cards. What we've done, or what the ethical code has done, really, is changed our ruling. So what is the current rule about taking gifts as an RBT? A, you cannot take gifts as an RBT. That was the old rule. We now have more leeway. There's been an adjustment. B, the gift must be $25 or less. Is the dollar amount 25? It is not. The dollar amount is actually C, $10 or less. That gift must be $10 or less. Now, when you're taking your exam, are you going to pick C and move on? You're not. You're going to read all of your answer choices and know that you have the best answer. Half the battle is being able to identify why wrong answers are wrong, and if you've identified the absolute best answer given the answer choices. C is a good answer. It's accurate, but is D better? The gift must be $10 or less and should not be given on a routine basis. D is better because it is more complete. Yes, the gift must be $10 or less, but it also should not be given on a routine basis. Meaning, if they give you a $10 gift card one time at the holidays, that is totally fine. If they're giving you $10 gift cards every single day, that is now routine and no longer qualifies as just a gift. You have to understand that difference. So during the holidays, year round, if you're giving gifts as an RBT, you need to make sure they're $10 or less and they're not being given on a routine basis. Remember, for the exam, you need to follow the ethical code, letter of the law, right? It's black and white as far as the exam is concerned. So if the code says $10 or less, not routine basis, on the exam, you need to abide by $10 or less, not routine basis. So what is the rule about taking gifts as an RBT? Well, D, the gift must be $10 or less and should not be given on a routine basis. Ty wakes up at 8 a.m. in the morning and plays video games for 20 minutes, eats breakfast, and gets on the bus, which takes 45 minutes. He goes to school all day, comes home, and plays more video games for 35 minutes. Dinner and getting ready for bed takes 15 minutes. Then he plays 15 more minutes of video games. What is the total duration of playing video games? This is not a difficult question. It's long. It's got a lot of numbers and a lot of information, but it isn't difficult. It's testing your ability to read carefully, to analyze, and to take your time. First things first, what is the question asking? The question is asking about the total duration of playing video games. So that's what we're looking for here. So let's start at the top. Ty wakes up at 8 a.m. in the morning, plays video games for 20 minutes. So far, our total duration is 20 minutes. He eats breakfast and gets on the bus, which takes 45 minutes. No video games here. This is irrelevant. He goes to school all day, comes home, and plays more video games for 35 minutes. Okay, more video games. We have 55 minutes. Dinner and getting ready for bed takes 50 minutes. Not relevant. Then he plays 15 more minutes of video games. In total, we have 20 minutes, 35 minutes, and 15 minutes, which equal 70. What is the total duration of playing video games? It's going to be 70 minutes. That's as simple as these total and averages and rate questions can be. You just have to make sure you're doing all your work up here. If you rush through, there's a lot of numbers, right? So you can rush through, jump down to the answer choices, and quickly pick an incorrect answer. Still doesn't take very long to take your time working through the question. And then once you get to the answer choices, you already know what answer you're looking for. So what is the total duration? Duration is just how long a behavior occurs. So we're looking for total duration. When we add up all the time he played video games, 20, 35, and 15, we're going to get 70. So total duration of playing video games, 70 minutes. What is not necessarily true when using discrete trial training? As far as RBTs are concerned, there are two primary ways to teach. We can use naturalistic and incidental teaching, or we can use discrete trial training. Both have strengths, both have weaknesses, and both should be utilized as part of treatment packages. Discrete trial training is characterized by clear beginning and ends, very rapid instruction, a lot of corrective feedback, a lot of reinforcement. We have an antecedent, a behavior, consequence, and then a corrective feedback, and then we restart. All right, we're doing a lot of trials very, very rapidly. Discrete trial training, we're typically teaching a brand new behavior. Okay, so you have all these things in your head that you know about discrete trial training. Question is asking you what is not true when using discrete trial training, meaning 3 of these will be true and 1 won't. So A, the instructor is able to provide lots of reinforcement quickly. Big advantage of discrete trial training is you can do things like an FR1 schedule, a continuous schedule, and you can rapidly give several instances of reinforcement very quickly. That's why it's so good for teaching new skills. B, many responses can be observed in a short amount of time. Again, rapidly, moving quickly, you can do a lot of trials in a very short span of time and observe a lot of different responses. So B is also true. C, skills will generalize more easily after discrete trial training. Now, is this necessarily true? It is not. The reason we like to take discrete trial training and combine it with naturalistic training is discrete trial training isn't always good at teaching generalization, because discrete trial training typically takes place in a controlled environment. You know, you're sitting at a table one-on-one, and you're doing the same discrete trials all day, every day. It doesn't necessarily train well for generalization. The idea is during discrete trial training, we incorporate different stimuli, different environments, and then we move the skill to a more natural, incidental setting. That's the perfect combination of teaching. But using discrete trial training doesn't necessarily make it so that skills will generalize more easily. So C so far isn't true. D, discrete trial training is great for new skill development. That is absolutely true. So A is true, a lot of reinforcement. B is true, many responses. D is true, great for skill development. C is not. Skills will generalize more easily after discrete trial training. Remember, they're saying necessarily true. Sure, there are cases where maybe it happens, but necessarily true, often true, no. Skills are not going to generalize more easily after discrete trial training. You need to combine other teachings to get them there. A maintenance man arrives at a house to remove an old microwave and put in a new microwave. The trainee is with the maintenance man to learn how to change out microwaves. If the maintenance man wanted to use forward chaining to teach the trainee, how would he do that? Okay, think about this question, right? We have a maintenance man. He's teaching a trainee, and he wants to use forward chaining. So what is forward chaining? Forward chaining, we're teaching the first step first and reinforcing for the first step and then prompting through the rest. Backwards chaining, we're prompting through, teaching the last step. Total task, we're teaching the whole chain. As long as you know the different types of chaining and where they start, you should never miss a chaining question. And then as always, the task analysis creates the chain, breaks down the behavior. In this case, the maintenance man wants to use forward chaining. So we're looking for an example of the maintenance man doing what? Well, he's going to be teaching and reinforcing that first step. And what is he teaching? He's teaching how to put a microwave or change out a microwave. So A, if the first step is unboxing the new microwave, reinforce the trainee for completing that step. To me, this looks like a pretty good example of forward chaining. Our first step is unboxing the new microwave. When the trainee does it, we reinforce. So we've taught him that first step. A looks pretty good. Let's keep going. B, if the first step is unboxing the new microwave, assist the trainee with that step and through the process. Now, if we're assisting our trainee throughout the entire process, that's more backward chaining because we're looking to teach that last step. So B is much more backward training than A. C, have the trainee change out the microwaves and only assist as needed. Now, this would be more along the lines of total task chaining, where we're only teaching one or two steps throughout the whole chain. So A looks like forward chaining, B looks like backwards chaining, C looks like total task, D is none of the above. We know our maintenance man wants to use forward chaining, so obviously we're going to pick A. The first step is unboxing the new microwave. Reinforce that trainee for completing that step. And then we're going to go into the second step. And third step, so on and so forth, until he knows how to remove and replace a microwave. So our answer here is A. First step is unboxing new microwave. Reinforce trainee for completing that step. Two RBTs are discussing a case that they share. They are talking about the reinforcement procedure that is written into the behavior plan and whether it is effective. What should they look at to determine the effectiveness of the reinforcement procedure? Kind of an ambiguous question, kind of tricky, but we're going to slow down and think about it and predict our answer. Question is asking what the two RBTs should look at to determine the effectiveness of the reinforcement procedure, because the RBTs are doing what? They're discussing whether the reinforcement procedure is effective. Now, how do we know if consequences are effective? How do we know if consequences are reinforcement or if they're punishment? Well, we look at their effect on behavior. If the consequence increases, it's going to be a reinforcement. If consequence decreases, it's going to be punishment. If nothing happens, it's nothing. So how are they going to know whether or not that consequence is effective, if the reinforcement is effective? Well, they've got to look at the behavior. And then we look at current behavior or future behavior. Well, we always look at future behavior when dealing with consequences because we can't change current behavior. It's already happened. We can only change future behavior through consequences. So if these RBTs really want to determine if this plan was effective, they have to look at what? A, current behavior. Current behavior is not going to tell them about the reinforcement effectiveness because current behavior we can't change. What we can look at, though, is future behavior, because what happens is behavior happens. We deliver reinforcement. If that behavior continues to happen again in the future, then we can start to say, well, reinforcement is effective. If that behavior decreases or doesn't happen again in the future, we can't really say it's effective. So we have to start looking at future behavior in relation to that reinforcement. We're not looking for decreases in behavior because that would be punishment. And then RBT should not discuss their cases together. If these RBTs share that case, they are both okay having that information and talking about it. RBT should only not discuss cases they don't share, where they're not all okay having and sharing confidential information. If you want to look at the effectiveness of reinforcement or punishment, you have to look at future behavior. And is that future behavior changing? Remember, current behavior we can't change. We can change future behavior through reinforcement and punishment. Louis is having a great time playing with his friends at their sleepover. Once it gets late at night, Louis' mom asks them to keep their voices down. At one point, Louis' friend yelled loudly, and Louis' mom took away the PlayStation for 30 minutes. They no longer yelled that night. Taking away the PlayStation functioned as what? Perfect example, perfect follow-up to our last question, a nice reinforcement and punishment question. Now, how do we approach reinforcement punishment questions? We ask ourselves, how did the behavior change? Did it increase? Did it decrease? If it increased or maintained, we're going to say reinforcement. If it decreased, we're going to say punishment. So we know they're at a sleepover, and Louis' mom says, keep your voices down. Louis' friend yelled loudly. The antecedent. Louis' mom took away the PlayStation, or I should say, Louis' mom told him to keep their voices down. The antecedent. Then Louis' friend yelled loudly. The consequence was Louis' mom took away the PlayStation for 30 minutes. Then what happened to the yelling? Well, it decreased, right? The consequence of taking away that PlayStation for 30 minutes served as punishment because they no longer yelled that night. If they had continued yelling, it wouldn't have been punishment, but that's not what occurred. The yelling decreased. The mom taking away the PlayStation as a consequence functioned as punishment. Now, what the other key word is took away. So when we take away, is that positive or negative? Negative. When we add something as positive, taking away is negative, right? So add something positive, take away negative, decrease punishment, increase reinforcement. So now you just combine them. Louis' mom took away negative. They no longer yelled punishment. Taking away the PlayStation functioned as negative punishment. Finally, today is election day in the United States. Voters will have the opportunity to vote for different candidates for different political offices. What skill will be important for voters when choosing between candidates? So we have to choose between candidates. What do we need to have in order to tell the difference between what candidate we're voting for? Right? What skill is going to be very important for these voters? Do they need response differentiation? Response differentiation says what? It says we are engaging in different topographies of responses, serving the same function. Well, the topography of the response isn't changing, right? It's still voting. Okay, however they're going to vote is going to be how they vote. What's changing is who they might be voting for. So what they need to be able to do is discriminate between stimuli, right? Because they need to tell the difference between this guy and this guy, this party, this issue, this issue. They've got to discriminate between those stimuli, which lead to the responses. If they can't discriminate between red and blue, it's going to be pretty difficult, right? They don't need task chaining. That's not a skill, and it's not a task chain, okay? And they don't need functional communication because it's typically a solo endeavor, right? So what skill do they need? Well, they have to be able to discriminate between stimuli. They need to know how to discriminate. They need stimulus discrimination in order to vote for their preferred candidate. All right, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our materials. We have a taskless study guide, 3 exams, and our famous combo pack. Other than that, work hard, study hard. I will see you soon.